Hello, this is Josh Gibson, Claremore High School drama and speech teacher on a dark and stormy night. This week's readings focused on the rehearsal process, working with actors, and blocking productions. There's a lot of good information throughout, a lot of great production photos, a lot of good charts and graphs in these readings. The first challenge to me as a director is setting goals before rehearsal and then after rehearsal for every character in the show. That's a real challenge to my process, but I'm trying to maintain an open mind and keep that as something I can do next time, because it's not something that I grew up with working with directors, and it's not something I've ever implemented in my practice. But very, very useful advice. Promptness. At Claremore High School, we rehearsed directly after school, so promptness wasn't really the issue with my kids. What was at issue was kids having to leave early because that's when their parents were going to pick them up, or they had an after-school commitment, tutoring, piano lessons, whatever it might be. And so that made rehearsals shorter than I intended, or having to work with an understudy instead of working with the principal cast member. And it became frustrating over time, especially as we got closer and closer to performance dates and competition dates. So running a on-time rehearsal, I would include that they also stay until rehearsal is over. Leading kids through warm-ups, I'm pretty good about that. I teach 2 acting classes, and every day we do vocal warm-up, physical warm-up. Sometimes we do a relaxation exercise. Yeah, and with the most recent production on memorization, it was a really uphill battle. They were memorizing an adaptation of Antigone, so it was heightened language. It wasn't as heightened as Shakespeare or something similar to that, but they did have long passages. Some of their lines were repetitive, so that was a challenge. I thought I set a reasonable date for them to be off book, but that date was blown by, and I just had to keep working with them. And at Claremore High School, we have a 45-minute period every day called Encore, so I would schedule as many as my Antigone kids as I could get in my Encore, and then have them go to rehearsal rooms and just work on their lines. And that seemed to help. And by the time we got to performance, everyone was successfully off book. Working with kids on objectives, super objectives, this kind of tied into my training as an actor. I've trained with the Uta Hagen technique. I've studied Meisner. I've studied some Strasberg, but a lot of Uta Hagen, and she talks about, what do I want? What's in my way? What do I do to get what I want? So as the director, to come up with the super objectives and know where all the characters are coming from, would also benefit my practice as a director. I was fascinated by the James Lang theory in the reading in chapter 15. I had just never heard about that. It sounds more like a British actor thing to work from the outside in. Like if you do a happy motion, you will feel happiness. So I would love to have more class discussion on that, because that was very new to me. I had never heard of that before. Using improv as a way to find character. I haven't done that a lot, and I didn't do that with my actors in Antigone, but I could see where it would be beneficial. And then in terms of blocking, as an actor, trained actor, a lot of this kind of came naturally. What are the strongest parts of the stage? How long should you take to make an exit? Should you make a direct cross or on a curved line? Things like that. are all interesting ideas for the director to have a rough idea before rehearsals begin, to know, okay, so I'm going to have this person enter up left, so I want them to cross to down right, using a straight path, and kind of have that, all worked out ahead of time. Again, like, I've just never done that. I've never sat and visualized the whole play and all the entrances and exits and crosses and business. But I can see where it would be really helpful to at least giving that skeletal blocking to your actors. And then on blocking privately or spontaneously, the book basically says if you're a beginning director, you should block the whole play ahead of time. If you're an experienced director, you're probably going to work with a hybrid, so you know all the basics, but then you're going to allow the actors to develop and enhance their performance. But overall, these were great chapters. A lot of it was revisiting things that I had already previously known, but it's good to have it in writing, and some things that challenged my perceptions.